Hey, what is up, guys? This is Cache Freak Tim from CacheFreak.com, and today, yet again, we're talking about GSAK, the Geocaching Swiss Army Knife. Now, if you're just joining us, this is part 4 of our multi-part tutorial talking about GSAK. If you missed any of the earlier ones, you can catch them on YouTube. You can also head over to my site, CacheFreak.com, and see them there. If you're just catching up, part 1 we just covered the basics of GSAK. Part 2 we talked about how to import the pocket queries into GSAK. Part 3 we talked about how to take that pocket query and start filtering it. Just get a smaller set of data out of the full list of the pocket query. And now we're moving on to part 4. We're going to talk about how to get that information that we just filtered and send it over to your GPS. It's pretty simple, but I just want to go over a couple things with you real quick. So if you remember in our last tutorial, part 3, we had a giant list of geocaches in a pocket query that I downloaded into GSAK, and we cut it down into from over 400 geocaches down to just 13. Much more in a manageable list, very simple to send to our GPS. Now, if this is the first time you've ever used GSAK sending over geocaches to your GPS, you do have to do a very quick setup. It's very simple. What you're going to do, you're going to go up to the GPS menu and you're going to go into setup. And all you really need to do in here is you want to select the brand of your GPS and you want to select the model. Now, GSAK can handle the Lorem, Garmin, Lawrence, and Magellan units. If you do not have one of these, it doesn't mean you're out of luck. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But you want to select the GPS you're working with. Today in my hands I have a Garmin eTrex Venture HC. If you have another GPS, there's the giant list here. Just go through it and select your GPS. If you don't see yours in the list, you can do one of two things. You can either select one that's very close, and it'll probably work if you do, or there's an option in here for a generic Garmin generic DeLorme GPS. Just select that. If you have one of the newer GPSs, like if you got your hands on a Garmin Montana, that just came out, it's probably not in the list yet. You want to select something close. So I'd probably go with like a Garmin Oregon because it's a very similar unit. But in case that doesn't work, you can always do the generic. That's fine too. So you want to select your GPS from the list. That's pretty much all you have to do in here, and you're going to hit OK. It's very simple. That's how you tell GSAK what GPS you're using. Now you want to send your geocaches that you filtered over to your GPS. Again, very simple to do, but there's one thing I want to bring up real quick. It will send over whatever we have in this list that we're looking at right here. As you can see, these 13 geocaches are what is going to be sent over to my GPS. The one thing you want to make sure is the number of geocaches that are in this list does not exceed the maximum amount of geocaches that your GPS can hold. Every GPS has a maximum amount of geocaches. If you want to find out that number, a lot of times it's in the manual that your GPS came with. You can also head on over to the website for the manufacturer of your GPS. As you can see here, I'm using a eTrex Venture HC. Heading on over to Garmin's site and going into the specs. If you look around, you can usually find this information. It may not be listed as geocaches. What you want to look for, if you don't see anything about the maximum amount of geocaches, it's this usually called the same thing as the maximum waypoints. So as you can see, my particular GPS will only hold 500 geocaches or waypoints, or a combination thereof. You don't want to make sure that the list that you have in GSAK that you're going to send to your GPS does not exceed that number. If you do, let's say I had 600 geocaches I was going to send to my GPS, it will not work. It will either send the first 500 or it's going to give you an error. Either way, you want to make sure to try to avoid that. If you're above your maximum, you want to cut down that number, run another filter, try to lower that number the best you can, but you do not want to exceed your GPS's maximum. Every GPS is a little bit different. Mine's 500. A couple of the newer GPSs that have been out recently are 1,000, 2,000 geocaches and waypoints. So make sure you take a look at what the number that your GPS can hold first. So now to send the geocaches in this list to our GPS, it's very simple. We're just going to go up to GPS, and we're going to go to send waypoints. For the most part, you can leave all these settings the way they are, and we're just going to click the send button. It should go through fairly quickly if you only have a few geocaches, and it should send to your GPS. Once you do that, all of the geocaches from this list should be on your GPS. They will be either under geocaches, they may be under waypoints, or they may be under POIs or points of interest. It really depends on your GPS where they're going to be located. But at this point, they should be on your GPS, and hopefully you didn't get any errors. If you did, go back through the setup, make sure you selected the right GPS, and like I said, if yours isn't listed, pick one that's close, or just pick the generic. So that's a simple tutorial on how to get the geocaches onto your GPS. Now, like I said, this only counts if you have a Garmin, a Lawrence, a Magellan, or a DeLone GPS. If you don't have one of those, this function is not going to work. And you're going to have to probably use another piece of software to get it into your GPS. A lot of the newer geocaching GPSs that are out there come with a piece of software that you can use, and all you need to do at this point is get this small pocket query out of GSAK into a .gpx file that you can use with whatever software your GPS came with. And again, that's also very simple. You're going to go up to File, you are going to go to Export, and you'll have a list of options here. For the most part, you can just select GPS/LOC file. That's the most generic one, and that's the one that's probably going to work with whatever software you have for your GPS. You're going to select it, you're going to pick the location for where it's going to be saved to, and you're going to hit generate. And again, it should go through fairly quick, and now there is a GPX file in this location that I can then use with whatever software my GPS came with to put it onto my GPS. So that's it for today. Again, this is just how to get the geocaches onto your GPS. Hope it was very simple. Hopefully you guys didn't run into any errors. If you did, my best recommendation, head to Google and throw in a Google search, GSAK, the model number of your GPS, and whatever error you got. You'll probably see others who had similar issues. You can also head over to the GSAK forums and see if anyone else has any recommendations for you as well. Again, this has been Cache Freak Tim from CacheFreak.com. If you guys have any recommendations, questions, comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section. Head on over to my website if you want to see any articles that I've written, reviews that I've done, and next time we are going to be talking about how to personalize GSAK, how to take it, maybe change it around a little bit. I'll show you some of the tips and tricks that I use that help me out when I'm using it, and it'll just make it a lot easier to use as you go. So until then, I will talk to you guys soon.